Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are we doing today, guys?
I'm doing great. We're back into our normal routine. And these topics, Skip, these are what I call my wheelhouse topics, which means they're right up my alley.
I'm glad you brought that up. It is great to be back on at our normal time at 9:30 Eastern time. But I do want all of our faithful viewers to know what a supreme disadvantage I'm at, because Shannon Sharpe is coming to you live right now from way up the hill from here in the wine cellar of his palatial estate up in Bel Air. I'm way down here in the flats of West LA in my little humble abode. So I've got no chance today.
Zero chance. I'm glad you understand that, so you will not be upset when you do lose.
Yeah, just watch.
Too bad, Shannon, you've never actually invited either of us over for that wine cellar experience. But you know who has been recently inviting a few people over? Well, it's Dak Prescott. And that's where we are going to start today, because according to TMZ, Dak Prescott hosted a party of more than 30 people a couple days ago. Well, now Dak is strongly refuting this report, saying that he did host a dinner party of fewer than 10 people in attendance. So, Shannon, in your opinion, what do you believe really happened here?
I believe Dak had a party of more than 30 people. I tell you, Skip, I tell you who knows the actual truth. That's Jerry and Stephen Jones. And you know why they know the truth? I guarantee you the bigger benefactors of the Dallas PD are one said Dallas Cowboys. They know the truth. Now, who am I supposed to believe? Skip, we just saw a picture last week of Dak hugged up with 4 different guys. He put that out on Instagram. Well, Daz put it out, but he took the picture. So now, after he was that reckless, I'm supposed to believe Dak Prescott only had a party in which 10 people were involved. I do not believe that, Skip Bayless. I'm sorry, I do not. And I'm glad for it happened. I hate that it happened, but it shows that what you don't understand. They're looking for every single reason why not to give you this money. And all you're doing is serving yourself up for a silver platter. You're opening yourself up to criticism when it does not need to be, when you don't need to be criticized. It's the off season. Dak, everybody has cabin fever because we're going through unprecedented situation here. So this is not unique. Sometimes athletes, Skip, think that they're in a unique position, and they are for the most part, because very few people can do what they do. But when it comes to this, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. You're under the same sort of quarantine rules. Stay away. You're not allowed to have people. No, Skip, I do not believe Dak Prescott only had 10 people. There's no way. And I'm glad they didn't throw Zeke name. I mean, they did put Zeke name in the end, because just like the water gun situation, Dak brought the water gun, squirted people, but Zeke got lumped in because of Zeke's past history. This is all Dak's idea. This was Dak. They had more than 30 people. There's no doubt in my mind, because I just saw a week earlier him being reckless in public. So do I think he was being careful in private? I absolutely do not. And this is why Stephen Jones said what he said. We've communicated with these gentlemen, and I don't think we'll be seeing that situation again. Skip, if it was 10 people or less, Stephen and Jerry Jones would not have weighed in. Why would they weigh in? Because the ordinance says you can have 10 people or less. Why would they need to chime in? But I guarantee you, the Dallas PD told Jerry and Stephen Jones exactly how many people was there. And because Jerry Jones, you know Jerry Jones, he's a real big benefactor down in Dallas, Texas. And there's nothing that doesn't go on, good, bad, or indifferent, that Jerry Jones does not know about. There was more than 10 people at that function. That's why the police came, and that's why Stephen Jones communicated they will not be doing this again.
Man, this is painful for me, because I believe this is the first time in our undisputed history together that I'm going to have to agree with you that everything you just said about my guy, Dak Prescott. I am so profoundly disappointed in my guy, Dak Prescott. And I'm going to state the obvious that you just very well stated. Dak, you're the quarterback of America's team at a time when, quite obviously, America is under unprecedented attack from this invisible killer, this virus. And it's crucial that especially the quarterback of America's team send the right message and make the right statement at a time we're trying to overcome this virus by simply staying away and staying put and staying home and staying strong and staying faithful, but just staying home. And if Dak Prescott sends the message, come on, I'm above this. I'm invincible. I am the quarterback of America's team. And it's just some little flu. It's just some little thing. Dak, it's costing people jobs and ultimately costing, unfortunately, people's lives. And it's just time to hang in a little bit longer. We're all going crazy at home. As Shannon pointed out, we're all suffering cabin fever. We want to get out. We don't want to feel like the government made us stay inside. We get it. We're all in the same boat. But we are all in the same boat in a great way. And if we can just stay positive just a little bit longer, we're going to save people's jobs and maybe even save some lives. So we get it, Dak, but do you? Because you didn't get it in the Des picture. And all the signs point to the fact that on Friday night at your place, you got betrayed and you got busted because one of your guests, whether it be at a dinner or a party, however you want to term it, define it, one of your guests busted you, betrayed you by going to TMZ with both pictures and video. And if we could see that video of the spread, the quote unquote dinner spread, it looked like a party spread to me. It was catered, obviously. And it just looks like more than 10 people were going to eat all that food as you see the sweep of the long table of food that looked like it could feed 50 as well as 30. And then we see the still picture of the seated table where you're going to have the seated dinner with all the place settings. And I think I can count 10 around the table in cowboy colors. And it was somebody's birthday party. I read on TMZ, one of your guests was having a birthday. It even made me uncomfortable, Dak, that you were going to seat 10 people elbow to elbow that close together at the table. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I've kind of gone over the edge with this, but you just don't know about this invisible silent killer. Somebody could be contagious without symptoms. And if somebody's sitting in that close of proximity at a dinner table, a whole bunch of people are going to keep getting sick. And here we go again. And it just goes on and on and on. So the message you're sending is a terrible one, even at your little dinner party. And I know the law, so to speak, says that you can have 10, but boy, that looked like there was 30 there. And I know it was the local police in your suburb of Prosper. But to Shannon's point, yeah, even the Prosper police, which is fairly close to Frisco, where your Cowboy headquarters are, I'm sure that the Cowboys are in touch. I'm sure that Jerry Jones has his contacts on the Prosper police force. And I'm pretty sure that they knew that there were more than 10 people there. And somebody called the police on your block. Somebody either saw too many cars gathering, maybe the music was loud, I have no idea, but somebody thought a party was going on of more than 10 people. And when the officer came, he couldn't verify that there were more than 10 people. Maybe everybody ran and hid in the bedrooms. I have no idea when the officer rang the doorbell. But the point was, I was further disappointed yesterday because, as Shannon pointed out, Stephen Jones, Jerry's son, goes on his radio gig, his regular gig on Dallas radio, and makes the statement, I don't think you'll be seeing that anymore, strongly indicating that he had driven home the point to both Dak and Zeke. This will not happen again. And then a few hours later, Dak comes out with a statement. Dak has never come out with a statement. This is very un-Dak-like. And it felt like for the first time ever, he was at public odds with his management, if not almost going to war with his management. We know that they've gone to sort of negotiating war, if you will. They're at an impasse. Dak has been franchise tagged. He still hasn't accepted the tag. They're still negotiating toward the July 15th deadline, hoping to get a long-term deal in place before Dak would have to reject or accept the tag. But now it felt like yesterday it was public, quote unquote, war, and that Dak comes right back and flat out says it's frustrating and disappointing when people provide completely inaccurate information from anonymous sources. Dak, TMZ is very respected now. They're one of the top reporting websites that we have. And usually they get it right. And it felt like they got it right this time because they had video proof and they had picture proof of what was happening inside your house. And it felt like you got nailed and then you wouldn't own it. And it would have felt better to me if you had issued a statement just saying, I blew it this time, but I'm learning and I'm getting better. And in your statement, you did say, I am continuing to adjust. So in effect, you were kind of admitting, I'm still trying to get comfortable with this and learn how to abide by the new rules. And if you just apologized for this, I would have been a little better with it and just said, okay, I get it, but I didn't get it before. That would have been a resounding statement to make. But instead, you just dug in and said, nope, Stephen is not telling the truth. He's basically saying, Dak, is that TMZ got it wrong from anonymous sources. And Shannon, in the end, all of my antenna are saying, no, Dak, you got nailed on this. And everything within me is saying I should be highly skeptical of this. And it feels like the Cowboys and Dak Prescott just got even farther apart in more ways than one.
I agree, Skip. And even if he had 10 people, Skip, where was the mask? I didn't see Zeke have a mask on. I didn't see that young lady in the still shot. I didn't see her have a mask on. Skip, remember I said this. I said anytime I leave my house, I automatically assume I'm being recorded, be it audio or video. I said, Skip, even sometimes in your home, when you have more than one or two people, you should feel that way. Because remember, Skip, where was Donald Sterling when he got recorded saying all those awful things? People will say and behave differently when they're comfortable in the four walls of their own home than they will normally outside of their own home. So Dak was comfortable. Dak, the first thing, I've heard people, Skip, when they have large get-togethers, everybody put their phone in the basket. Everybody leave their phone at a certain location. Therefore, we don't have to worry about audio or video getting out. Because, Skip, I'm telling you, when you're dealing with celebrities and you're dealing with famous people and everybody is not in that same umbrella, someone wants to get this out. Now, Skip, you can say what you want to say about TMZ, that they pop out of the woods and they drop down off the ceilings. But some of the most jaw-dropping news that has been broken, and although it's been tragic, TMZ got it. The Kobe situation, TMZ broke that first. The Michael Jackson situation, TMZ broke that first. There's not a whole lot of people popping up over the place suing TMZ saying y'all lied. So they're getting this information, Skip, especially with times hard like it is now, people looking to cash in. People will sell a lot of things that they probably normally wouldn't in order to make ends meet. So you better keep your antenna up, Dak. Dak, don't put yourself in that situation. And, you're still learning. What do you need to learn? We're in quarantine. All the restaurants are shutting down. You can't go sitting to a restaurant. You can't go to a gathering. Skip, they're closing the beaches, they're closing the parks, because people head were hard, they were still going. So they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to close it. And we're going to fine you if we catch your butt in there. Dak, stay your butt home. Everybody's under the same umbrella. Now, Skip, it's had less effect on me because you know why? I'm a homebody to begin with. And once I got gym equipment that I can put into my gym, I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I mean, well, Shannon, you can't go out to eat at a restaurant. Okay, and? Well, Shannon, you can't go to a social event. And? Hell, I wasn't going before that. So that really hasn't had the effect on me. I told as I said, well, we're going to do good. Doesn't bother me. I'm going to be up. You say, hey, Shannon, we want to do the show from 3 to 8. Okay. I get up at 1:15, 1:30, take my shower, and I'll be ready to go. My life really has not changed, Skip, but I understand a lot of people are social butterflies. A lot of people can't stand being at home to themselves or by themselves or with someone. They need more than. And that's not good because, as you said, Skip, listen to Dr. Fauci talk about the mask situation. He's like, it's not for you. It's for you to protect everyone else from you. So if you don't care about you, okay, fine. Do your thing. But protect everybody else.
I cannot agree with you more, painfully so. And I cannot stress enough that lately I've been seeing a new Dak Prescott, and it's one I don't love. And as you know, I've defended him almost to my death here on Undisputed because it's taken years off my life trying to hang in with him, and especially through an 8-8 season last year. And now it feels to me like, from all I've heard and all I've seen and all I've read, that Dak is asking for money that is just unrealistic and absurd. And he and his agent are just fighting their good fight, and they're not going to give this up. And that's starting to really trouble me. And in a few minutes here on the show, we're going to talk about Dak's new strategy, which you had predicted, Shannon, which was that he would basically hold out through the offseason. He would not participate in any of the offseason activities, virtual as they might be right now. But still, we have a new report that Dak will not participate. Is it a shock? No, it's not a shock. Is it still a surprise to me? Yes, it's a surprise, just as this statement was, because this is not the guy I used to fight for on Undisputed. I fought for him because he had such high football character. He had such a strong football backbone that he was the leader of this team. He was the playmaker for this team. And he always said and did the right thing. And all of a sudden, we have two instances of doing the wrong thing through the quarantine. And now we have him issuing a statement against Stephen and basically against Jerry Jones. And now the battle lines are even being drawn deeper and deeper in the sand, showing you that this thing is not going to end quickly. And I don't think it's going to end nicely. I think this impasse is now, it's feeling like it's going to continue. I don't know if Dak would actually miss real games. We don't even know if we're going to have real games. I'm hopeful that we will. I think we will. And now I'm starting to think that Dak is becoming capable of holding out of the real games when they do start, as we all hope, in September.
Well, Skip, we're going to talk about this a little later about Dak possibly holding out, as I mentioned that earlier, but that's the only real leverage that he has, Skip. But even, how hard do you think the Prosper Police Department looked? Do you think they went into Dak's house? Of course not. Because, Skip, do you want to be the police? Do you want to be the department that said Dak Prescott had 30 people, or you want to be in harm's way? Look, it's got to be something really, really bad for the Dallas PD to arrest a Dallas Cowboy. As you're saying, Skip, they're like the Queen. They're like the royal family in Britain, in England. They're royalty. So the Cowboys are royalty in Texas, Dallas, Texas, and surrounding counties. So you want that on your blotter? You want that stain? After all the money Jerry Jones, the biggest benefactor, Skip, for the police departments in Dallas and surrounding counties? Absolutely not. Police department went there and said, Dak, what's going on? Oh, I got a dinner for like 10 people. All right, go ahead and break it up, and we don't want to have to come back over here. Okay, police came. Guys, we got to break this thing up. Bye-bye. That's how it happened. End of story.
And by the way, for those who don't know, Prosper is a suburb. It's about 35 miles north of downtown Dallas, but it's fairly close to Frisco, again, where the new Cowboy headquarters are. In my days in Dallas, Prosper, Texas was a little town out there in Nowhereville. You know, like it was so far from Dallas, I didn't even know where it was. Now it's a fairly exclusive suburb. I know a lot of the baseball players and ex-baseball stars live in Prosper. Torrey Hunter, LaTroy Hawkins, Matt Carpenter, currently the Cardinals. A lot live there, and Dak lives there, so it's exclusive. And yet, to your point, Shannon, they didn't have a warrant to go into his house. So again, I'm not reading too much into that either. That the officer just politely knocked on the door and said, "Hey, what's going on in there?" Dak said, "We got it handled," and he said, "Okay, just be careful and try to abide by the CDC rules." So anyway, the point is, big picture. Dak looks bad on this one, and for once, I'm happy that you are the first to say that he looks bad, because for once, I am echoing that.
Okay. Well, we finally agree on something. It took us almost 4 years, but we finally agree on something when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys.
No mercy. In a recent interview, former All-Star point guard Stephon Marbury weighed in on the NBA GOAT debate. Marbury said there shouldn't even be a conversation because when it comes to Michael Jordan, there is, quote, just no comparison, man. It's just different worlds. Shannon, the floor is yours. Defend your guy, LeBron. He needs it here.
Well, first of all, I thought this was so over the top by Stephon Marbury. Second of all, Skip, LeBron does belong in the category by himself because he's not like Michael. LeBron did not model or build his game after Michael. That's what Kobe did. Now, you can make the case that he did take 23 because Michael Jordan was an idol of his. But his game reminds no one of Michael Jordan. He doesn't try to score the basketball like Michael does. His game is more Magic Johnson 3.0, not 2.0, 3.0. We've never seen a guy be this good, this long in the history of basketball. We have not, Skip. And you look at what he's done. He's going to be a 13-time first-team All-NBA. Michael Jordan had 14. He will be 16-time All-NBA in 17 seasons. Michael Jordan had 11. Skip, Michael won 6 championships over 8-year span, but he took time off in between. LeBron went to 8 straight, and it's wishful thinking to say, well, he would have, but we never know. We thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that the Warriors were going to win 3 straight. And then a funny thing happened on the way to that third one. KD tore his Achilles. Klay Thompson ruptured his knee. So we don't know. It's easy to say, yeah, they would have, yada, yada, yada. But we can't definitively say. That's the one thing we love about sports, Skip, is that you have to prove it in said arena, be it the pool, be it the tennis court, the basketball court, the football field, the diamond. It does not matter. You have to play, and you don't play on, man, look how many they won. If he'd have came back or they hadn't to trade that guy, this would have happened. We'll never know. But for him to say, no, it's not. No, it is not. And it's almost like if someone says that LeBron is better than Michael, oh, you're a Jordan hater. But what about when someone says Jordan is better? Nobody says, well, if you're better than LeBron, you LeBron hater. Why can't people have their conclusion? Well, once they watch this documentary, well, if this documentary is what you needed, because guess what, Skip? LeBron, I'm sure 20 years from now, put out a documentary, and all these young people will say, well, LeBron was the best. But therein lies the problem that I've been trying to tell you, Skip Bayless. See, Stephon Marbury says, once we see this documentary, it's going to be a foregone conclusion. Well, I sure wish we could see that documentary about Kareem in college. Then it would be a foregone conclusion. There would be no doubt. But that's neither here nor there. I disagree with Stephon Marbury. He's entitled to his opinion. I got no problem with that. But to try to make it seem like Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan and LeBron James is somehow Sam Bowie or Michael Olowokandi, he's sadly mistaken.
Shannon Sharpe. Stephon Marbury just said what I've been trying to explain to you for 4 years here on Undisputed. There's Michael Jordan way up here in some other galaxy, and then there's all the rest down here. And you can argue all the rest all you want to argue, but there's just one guy up there, and the one guy isn't even in the debate down here on earth. Because as Stephon concluded, Jordan is not from earth. I'm going to repeat that. Jordan is not from earth. There's never been anything like him. And I loved what Stephon said because he gets it. He knows, he saw it, he experienced it firsthand. When Stephon was a rookie and in his second year, he played against Jordan in Chicago 4 times, and he watched Jordan average 32 a game in those 4 games, while Stephon, who was also called Starberry, averaged 32 to 13. Also in his career, 13 years in the NBA, Stephon played the Cavaliers 12 times while LeBron was a Cavalier, and he played the, 28 times he played the Lakers while Kobe was still a Laker. So Stephon was saying, look, if you want to argue Kobe, LeBron, he said, I'll take Kobe over LeBron. Well, so will I. I've told you that from the start. But he said, then you can talk about Shaq and Bill Russell and Kareem. And he said, all those guys, how did he put it? That those guys are different specimens on earth that played the game. But somebody had to give them all the basketball to do what they did, all the big guys. Jordan got the ball, and that was it. It was over. So he's saying all the tall guys were freakishly tall, and they were really great at what they did. And then he said nice things about LeBron. He said, don't get me wrong, great player, unbelievable, amazing, but better than Michael Jordan? It's not even the same. That's what I've been trying to tell you, that just on killer will and mental toughness and all-time clutchness and supreme basketball athleticism, there's just never been anything remotely like Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And I agree with what Steph said. He was laughing when he said it, but he said, the crazy part about all this is that now everybody is home, so nobody can go anywhere. And all the kids are going to have to watch this documentary, and they're going to be like, damn, this is crazy. Yeah, that's what they're going to be like. And so he concludes, so it's kind of like it's going to mess things up for guys like LeBron. Yeah, it's going to, because all those billions of young blind witnesses out there are going to have their eyes open by this documentary because they probably don't really grasp what Jordan was in his prime years as a Chicago Bull. I was there. I was around the team writing columns for the Chicago Tribune through the 1998 season, his final in the Bulls run. And Shannon, every night I watched every game that he played, and I would say, man, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And as all the Bulls continue to tell me, Michael Jordan was the ultimate, as they called it, bailout guy. At the end of the shot clock, when in doubt, just give it to 23 and he's going to make something happen. He's going to make a shot where you'd say, how did he do that? I don't know. He's just way better than anybody's ever been. He's the rarest. He's extraordinary. He's not from earth. So I appreciate the fact that a guy who played against Jordan and then against LeBron and against Kobe would just step back and say, what are you talking about? We shouldn't even be having this conversation. If you want to do Kobe versus LeBron, that's fine. If you want to argue the merits of all the big guys, that's fine. But he said, there's only one Michael Jordan, and he should be disqualified from even being in this conversation because he's just better than all the rest.
Well, Skip, the thing is that LeBron James' game is so unlike anybody that we've seen. The simple fact that Michael was a scorer. Michael tried to impose his will. Michael tried to break your back by dropping 35, 40, 50 on you. LeBron says, I'm perfectly fine scoring 25, but doling out somewhere between 8 and 10 assists and grabbing 10 rebounds. He says, not only do I want to eat at the party, I want everybody else to eat also. Michael could care less if anybody else. Michael would have 50 and 4 assists. That's not LeBron's game. LeBron's game is about facilitating for others. Can he score? 27 points a night for a career says that he can score. But when you bump that up and you start looking at the assist total, there's no one that's going to have that high a scoring average. Now, Oscar would have more assists, but he didn't score as well as LeBron, and he didn't play as long as LeBron. I get it about the big guys. Look, for me, Skip, I removed from when it comes to offense, I removed Wilt Chamberlain from the discussion because it's unfair. Wilt averaged 40 points a game for 515 straight games. So let that sink in. How long is 515? Put that into 80. If you play 82 games, how many is 515? Okay, so I removed him when it comes to offensive basketball. But when we look at LeBron and what he's been able to do, Skip, you said Michael Jordan is most athletic. Michael Jordan is more athletic than LeBron? I would vehemently disagree with that.
Are you kidding? Don't even start.
Skip, you better stop playing.
LeBron, who's never even tried a dunk contest? He doesn't have that kind of athletic ability. I'm talking about the gymnastic hang time. This is Air Jordan. We're not talking about Air LeBron.
Skip, that's creativity. That has nothing to do with athleticism. His ability. Skip, and I granted, Michael Jordan made all defensive teams, but he couldn't guard 1 through 5 like LeBron could in his prime. He was basically relegated to point and twos. But you remember in the first finals, in that first game, they lost the 91 final. They lost to Magic. Magic put a triple dub on Jordan's head. It was when Scottie Pippen, the next game, Scottie Pippen picked up Magic 94 feet. Magic was kind of old and hamstring because people don't realize, Skip, Magic went to 9 finals in 12 seasons. So to say, Magic was still in his prime, there's a difference between 9 finals and 12 years, 31, and then someone that didn't go to but 1 final being 31. That's a whole different ball game. But this notion that Michael Jordan is from some far, far away land and LeBron James can't even see that, I vehemently disagree, Skip. If you want to argue and say Michael is better than LeBron, okay, we can have that debate. But here's the debate, Skip. Unless you have studied Michael and LeBron, unless you watch both of their careers in totality, you chiming in? Because if fans need this documentary to sway them, well, you've missed the entire point. You missed the entire point. I don't need the documentary. You know why? Because I was old enough. I remember when Michael Jordan took that shot in New Orleans in 82. I remember when he got drafted, and I remember his shot when he played and walked up the court in D.C. Skip, for me, I'm still going with the GOAT. I'm going to watch every second of this documentary because I'm not really looking for the games. I'm looking for behind the scenes, Skip. It's kind of like the documentary. Like, I knew a lot of things about Sam Cooke, but when they went behind the scenes, I didn't know all that. So, yeah, I knew he could sing. I know about his records. I know about all that. But, Skip, when they do documentaries, Skip, it's when they bring you in behind the scenes and they show you things you didn't know or you haven't heard or you haven't read. That's what I'm most interested in. I basically saw every shot that Michael Jordan took, every game that he played in that we could watch. Now, there was no Skip, they didn't have the NBA TV and all that other things. But the Bulls, considering they were so popular, they were always on. And so we got an opportunity to see him, especially come playoff time, and we know what he represented.
Okay, but Shannon, you know and I know, Michael Jordan's last real great year before he retired was 1998. That's 22 years ago. So we have a whole sort of naive cult of LeBron believers who are so young that even if they were 5 years old in 1998, they'd be 27 now. You've got kids who are 18, 19, 20, 21, and they have no idea, no real idea about this guy, the original 23, the only 23, who's not from Earth. They don't get it because they didn't feel it. They couldn't see it on TV live before their very eyes when they were old enough for it to sink in what was happening. And I get it. Every generation has their guy. And I fight for guys from my generation and you from yours. I get that. And certainly the younger kids, and a lot of them are watching us right now, they fight for their man who is LeBron James. But I do cross over. I know Jordan because I experienced it up close and personal in Chicago in 1998. And I did get to know him because I was blessed and privileged. And I don't know exactly why, but he was often at odds with much of the Chicago media, but he immediately took to me and he opened up to me, and I got a different feel for him than maybe some others in the media were able to get from him. So I have a connection there where I got it, and it will not go away, because once he imprints on you, you know that you saw something you'll probably never see again. At least in my lifetime will I ever see anything like that. I've watched almost every game LeBron has played. I'm pretty close on that because I just don't miss LeBron games. Maybe there's one here or there if they're playing Sacramento or somebody that I didn't really care about, or I had to take Ernestine to a movie or whatever it was. Maybe I missed some of that game, but I've probably watched parts of every LeBron game. I've watched the highlights, certainly, of every LeBron game. I get it. I get both of them. And I just appreciate it that Stephon just stepped back and said, hey, this is just silly, because that's been my point to you from the start of this. I respect LeBron. I love to watch him. He's more interesting than Michael ever was, sort of on and off the court. I think he's been far greater off the court, obviously, than Michael ever thought about being. But in the end, when it's time to win basketball games, all I know is that LeBron has lost 6 finals and Michael went 6-0 in finals. And that pretty much sums it up for me.
Well, Skip, Michael Jordan is still the only guy that when you get around, he almost seems like he's godly-like. He seems like a mythical creature. It's almost like he's levitating when you meet him. But, Skip, I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to leave it like this, and you're like, okay, when you think about it. You got the old guard, and you got the new guard. The new guard says Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer to ever live. The old guard says it's Jack Nicklaus. And that's how I believe this debate is always going to come down. Because you saw Jack play. I saw the tail end a little bit of golf. I wasn't the biggest golf fan until Tiger got involved. I do remember him winning the 86 Masters, Skip, because I was a senior in high school. I was just graduating high school. I was graduating. It happened in April. I graduated that June. But Skip, I believe this is what this is going to be. The new guard is going to be, very preferential to Kobe and LeBron. The old guard is going to be deferential to Michael Jordan. And I think that's the way it is, because you're not changing my mind. They can come out with another documentary, and it's still going to be GOAT James is the greatest.
No mercy.
According to a report from Pro Football Talk, Dak Prescott will not be participating in the Cowboys' virtual offseason program without a new contract. Dallas has franchise tagged Prescott, but the QB has not yet accepted it. The offseason program would also be voluntary to begin with. So, Shannon, what does this tell you?
Tell me where I knew this was heading all along, Skip. And I said this, the only leverage Dak Prescott has now is to hold out. This is a new coaching staff, a new offense, and the quarterback, Skip Bayless tells me, is the most important player. He's the most valuable player. He, of all people, need to hear the new terminology, because he's responsible to know what everybody knows. If the line protection needs to go one way and the center says no, Dak has to be able to redirect them, says, no, I want you to go this direction. I want you to be responsible for him. He needs to be able to come into the huddle, and if somebody's like, oh, Dak, what I have on this one, he needs to be able to tell him and not blink an eye and still be able to go through his reads and do what he's supposed to do. Skip, this is the only leverage that he has. He was headed this direction all along, Skip. And the thing is now, as long as he does not sign that franchise tender, all this is voluntary. So this can't be used against him. He signs the tag. The moment that he misses something that's mandatory, he gets fined. And in the new CBA, Skip, fines cannot be forgiven. So he would be required to pay that money. Because, Skip, you remember guys used to hold out, and then when they come back in, the fines will be forgiven, okay, yada, yada, yada. That's not the way it is anymore, Skip. So Dak Prescott is using this as leverage. I don't blame him. If you want me to come in, go on and break bread, Jerry Jones.
The reason you are loving this is because you hate my Dallas Cowboys. And you are loving the fact that their quarterback is now saying, I'm going to hold out. And yes, you predicted it because it was wishful thinking on your part. It is driving me out of my mind because I really didn't think Dak had this in him. I have defended him almost to the death for 4 years on this show because I believed in his football character, in his football backbone, as I often refer to it. And this is really starting to offend me, to steam me, to irk me, that Dak Prescott is saying, I won't live up to my responsibilities of being the quarterback of America's team, the face of this franchise, when in fact we have a new coach and a relatively new system. I know Kellen Moore is still being held over as the play caller and coordinator, but you know and I know there's going to be some new terminology under Mike McCarthy. You know and I know he's going to add his plays into the repertoire, and they need to be practiced. They need to be discussed. And I thought Dak Prescott would see fit to go ahead and perform his duties in good faith while he continues to negotiate, because that's what quarterbacks do. It's not what Dak usually is about, to say, I'm going to sacrifice my team and my teammates. I'm going to deprioritize winning for personal gain. I'm going to sacrifice everything I used to stand for so I can hold out to create leverage for a new deal. And again, I'm going to say it one more time. The Jerry Jones I know has a long-earned reputation for being Daddy Jerry, the guy who falls in love with every superstar to a fault and overpays every superstar to a great long-term salary cap fault. And as Jerry said last training camp about Zeke, just before he got that one done, when have you ever known me not to get one of these things done? Well, never until now. And now I believe that Dak and his agent are asking for some out-of-bounds number. I don't know what it is. Nothing has been reported. I'm reading the tea leaves on Jerry's behavior, body language, and the way he's acting. Jerry is drawing a line in the sand for the first time with a superstar. Again, maybe Dak hasn't quite reached superstar, but let's say star. He's drawing a line in the sand for a star because he's saying that star is asking for money that's even out of bounds for me. It's absurd money. It's not realistic for the long-term health of the franchise. So I believe Jerry is saying, I just can't go there. Please come back and meet me a little bit more in the middle ground, maybe the high middle ground, and I can go there, but I can't go to Patrick Mahomes' $40 million a year kind of money. Yet Dak is now using this as what you term as leverage, when I'm telling you this is detrimental to his leverage. This is what Jerry doesn't want to see, doesn't want to hear about, doesn't want to have to respond to, because the way to win over Jerry is to participate in good faith, show him that you're still the leader of the team and that you are all in, and give in to that, because he'll give in to you if you will give in to doing your duty. And again, I know these are voluntary, but these are crucial voluntary workouts. Even the virtual ones are crucial with the new coach and the new way. So to me, Shannon, he's cutting off nose to spite face with Jerry Jones because he's making himself even less valuable in the eyes of Jerry because he and his agent are saying, well, we've just gone to quote unquote war with you. We are not even going to do the virtual workouts. So I'm sorry. I don't love it. Jerry doesn't love it. And I'm sure you're happy because the long-term impact here is this is going south. This is going nowhere slowly. And I just don't know where it's going to end because I don't think it's going to end well for Dak Prescott.
See, you see, Skip Bayless, when I try to tell you things, the first thing you tell me is that, Shannon, you're saying how you would handle things. I said, oh, no, I'm not. I said, I'm telling you the mind of a professional athlete. Skip, you said he should participate in these voluntary and these virtual workouts. Dak Prescott said, I participated for 4 years. I won Rookie of the Year. I took you to won 2 divisions, and I won your playoff game. What has it got me? Okay, tell me the time that we've seen a guy after 4 years win 2 divisions, win Rookie of the Year, and he does not get his money. He has to threaten to hold out. He has to potentially hold out to get his money. You said we're doing this is unprecedented. Absolutely it's unprecedented because we've never seen this before in the history of the game. That a guy that's as accomplished as Dak Prescott, think what you want. Well, he might not ever be Patrick Mahomes, or he might not do this. Say what you will of me. The fact of the matter, after 4 years, he's won 2 divisions. He was Rookie of the Year, and he's won a playoff game. And we've never, ever seen a quarterback have to go through this to get his money. And see, what you've done is the exact same thing that Jerry and Steven has done. You said he's sacrificing winning. He's sacrificing his teammates. No, Jerry Jones is sacrificing this team. Jerry Jones is sacrificing winning. Because you know why? You could have got this deal done. But what you tried to do is penny pinch. And you think automatically, well, Dak, you got all these commercials. Skip Bayless always brings that up. Dak, you're playing Dallas, Texas, where there's no state tax. Guess what, Jerry? You operate a business in the state of Texas where there's no state tax. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about what I got going on off the field. Worry about what I do on the field. And what I do on the field is that I've won more than I've lost. And if you want to get to and win a Super Bowl, I'm your best bet. Or you're welcome to start over. Either way, I don't care. I'm not coming off my price tag. This is my ledge. Skip, like you said, Michael Jordan is up here. Well, Dak is sitting on this ledge right here. And he says, I'm not coming off, Jerry, until you come up here and sit with me and talk about the money that I deserve.
Shannon Sharpe, thank you for reminding me that you have the mind of a Hall of Fame football player. And I'm going to reiterate what you have told me for 4 straight football seasons. You've told me Dak Prescott isn't that good. You're saying Dak Prescott again and again and again on Undisputed every Monday is below average. You gave him Fs for many of his performances this last year when he did go 8-8. And I was the first to admit in a few games that were turning point crucial games, pivotal games, he didn't make the key plays, the game-changing plays that he made in the previous 3 football seasons. So I couldn't defend 8-8. I can't say right now he deserves $40 million a year because he's 1-2 in the postseason. And to quote the great Shannon Sharpe, he's a below-average starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think Jerry's more in Shannon Sharpe's camp saying, I can't do that. And again, yeah, Jerry is worth the 11th most money of any owner in sports in the world. And yet, as much of a billionaire as he is, he still has to manage what's called a salary cap. You don't have a salary cap on yachts, on cars, on mansions, but you do have one on your football team, and you can only pay your quarterback X if you think your quarterback is only pretty good to maybe below average good. If that's what you think, because that's what the Hall of Famer is telling Jerry on Undisputed, that's what Shannon Sharpe says, man, you can't suddenly say, okay, I'll just blow my cap all to hell for Dak Prescott. I'll give him $40 million a year. It might be even more than Mahomes gets from the Chiefs, But, hey, I love the guy, and he's a good guy, and so let's go forward with that because Shannon is wait a minute. Shannon is saying he deserves his money, but Shannon's also telling me he ain't that good. Well, which is it, Hall of Famer? Because you just want my team torn apart. You want to see my team lose. You want to see the salary cap wrecked, and you want to see my team go a perpetual 8-8 through the career of Dak Prescott. Let's be honest.
I sense no lie detected. All those things you said are true. But Skip, look, I don't operate a business, but I know some businessmen. I know own 5, 6, 8, 10 different restaurants. And the thing I ask him, I said, well, how are you successful? He said, obviously you got to put a good product out. He says it's all about location. Location, location, location. Well, if you play professional football, it's all about position, position, position. Dak Prescott plays a position, the quarterback position, that's highly sought after, that's highly valuable. Skip, there are places in Malibu that I'm like, ain't no way in hell that place is worth $30 million, but it's still in Malibu. And you got the Pacific Ocean wrapped around you. Dak Prescott doesn't have to be good. He's a starting quarterback in the National Football League. And that's all that matters. He's started 4 straight years. He hasn't missed a game. He's won 2 divisions. He's Rookie of the Year. That's valuable. And Jerry Jones, if you want us, yes, we're a package deal right now. Todd France. And there's a right skill. As a matter of fact, Todd France, they declined the iPad. They sent him an iPad, so they could do the virtual. Dak says, I don't want it. I won't sign for it. And they had to send it back. You know why? Dak gonna get his money because guess what, Skip? That franchise tag is not what we thought. We thought it was gonna be somewhere around 33, 34. That thing looking like 26-ish. Dak's like, I can't do 26 mil. Meet me in the middle. 35 million per year, maybe 37, but I need 80 to 90 million fully guaranteed. Not if starting the new year. I need fully guaranteed, Jerry. That's where I am. You know where to find me. I'll be having a party with 50 people next time.
Shannon Sharpe, you got me on this one. My team ultimately is going to lose in the impasse between Dak and Jerry Jones.
Skip, I'm starting to like Dak a little bit more. Dak's starting to become a little rebellish. I'm starting to like old Dak Prescott.
No mercy. Welcome back to Undisputed. All right, guys, in an interview with Golf Channel, Aaron Rodgers admitted that it will be strange to see Tom Brady play in the NFC next season and not in a Patriots jersey. Rodgers also said he doesn't believe Brady still has anything to prove at this point in his career. So, Shannon, does Tom Brady's presence in the NFC affect Aaron Rodgers and his chances of getting back to a Super Bowl?
No, because the Bucs are the least of it concerned. The Niners, Seahawks, Saints, Vikes, Eagles are still more formidable, I believe, than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Aaron has bigger fish to fry than worry about what's going on in Tampa. But for me, Skip, and I think for me, I believe there's more at stake for Tom Brady than there is Aaron Rodgers. Remember, because all you do is harp upon that Aaron Rodgers has only gotten to and won 1 Super Bowl, and that was like 10 years ago. And you make the point that Tom Brady has been to 9 Super Bowls in basically 18 years as a full-time starter. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, he goes to Tampa and he does not go to any more Super Bowls. What does that do to his legacy? That validates Coach Belichick. That all of a sudden, you, the great Tom Brady, you can't win Super Bowls. There's way, way more at stake for Tom Brady than there is Aaron Rodgers. Because like you said, Skip, every other year Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl. Now he plays 1, 2, 3, 4 more years, and he doesn't get to a Super Bowl. He doesn't win a Super Bowl. What does that do? Well, since he doesn't care about his legacy, but that gives us fodder. That gives us something to talk about. I'm not so sure Skip Bayless is going to be very pleased with that if Tom Brady doesn't get to the Super Bowl.
What if he does get to 2 more Super Bowls and he wins 1? What would that do to his quote-unquote legacy that he does not care about? That would cement the fact that it was all about Brady over Belichick. Am I right?
But what if Coach Belichick get to and wins a Super Bowl? So what, are we back to square one?
With Jared Stidham? Stid, as he calls him?
What?
Really?
Then you worry about Stiddy. You worry about Stiddy. Yeah, Stiddy might pull it off. I'm just saying, let's just say for the sake of argument, they both get to and win a Super Bowl. How do we then determine? Because it's been proven that they can both be successful without the other. So I guess it's going to be the age-old debate, the chicken or the egg. Because one has to win while the other loses in order for us to definitively have proof to say, Skip, yeah, I got to give him the lion's share. 75, 80, 85, 90% of the credit goes one way or the other.
Shannon Sharpe. All I know is that when Tom Brady chose to take his talents south to Tampa, to Tampa's beach, if you will, that made it virtually impossible for Aaron Rodgers to get back to even a second Super Bowl before he has to retire or gets retired by the Green Bay Packers. Remember, you even told me you love what Tom chose in Tampa. He's got four weapons better than any single weapon that he had in New England last year. He chose Bruce Arians, and I believe he chose Todd Bowles because they're two of the best coaches at what they do, offense and defense, in the National Football League. I think Tampa's defense is way underrated because it got handed, it inherited the worst starting field position in the NFL last year, thanks to Jameis Winston's 35 turnovers, which were 12 more than any other quarterback in the whole league. Tom Brady turned it over only 9 times last year in New England when they were struggling with no weapons except for a broken down, beat up Julian Edelman who led the league in drops. So if you put Tom in there and just clean it up, they're going to be a force and they're going to be a postseason factor to me. Now let's look at Aaron Rodgers. Well, clearly you can't argue with this. His stats have fallen each of the last 4 years. In QBR, it's gone down, 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 down. And in completion percentage, down, 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 down over the last 4 years. Since that long ago and far away Super Bowl run where he went 4-0 as the wild card road team way back 10 years ago, since then, Aaron is 6-7 in the postseason. And he is very lucky to be 6-7. See Dez caught it at Lambeau and see Mason Crossbar from 56 yards and 51 yards, hand of God field goals that didn't deserve to make it over the crossbar, that won that game or stole that game at Jerry World in another playoff game. There are just 2 right there. And I didn't even get into the Giants boat trip game in which Odell took the receivers to South Beach to prepare for a playoff game up on the frozen tundra. And Odell went up there and dropped 2 passes in the first quarter, and it was a rout, even though Eli came out with the hot hand. So Aaron's been blessed. There's 3 of those 6 wins that he was very fortunate to win. So I believe that the report the other day that we talked about, that the Green Bay Packers are actively researching Jordan Love because they might want to try to trade up from 30 to get Jordan Love. I believe in those reports. I think they would like to have a quarterback of the future, an Aaron Rodgers to the Brett Favre, because they're seeing the end of the line for Aaron Rodgers. They might think that as he approaches age 37 next December the 2nd, that he's getting close to being done. So I'm just saying, once Tom chose Tampa, TB to TB, Tom Brady to Tampa Bay, boom. You got a big problem now, Aaron Rodgers, beyond all those teams that you just mentioned. They're all factors too. But all of a sudden, I'm loving what Brady has in Tampa, and I'm loving their chances next year, and even more so the next year. And I'm loving Aaron Rodgers' chances less and less. So I say good luck to you and to your man, Aaron Rodgers.
My guy, Aaron Rodgers, is just fine, but I love how you always try to Tom chose Tampa. Skip, let me tell you a true story. My grandpa used to always tell my aunts, he'd say, don't grumble and stay grumble and leave. Well, one of my aunts didn't want to adhere to my grandfather's rules. My grandfather put her out. What she told everybody is that she left. You telling everybody Tom Brady chose the Bucs. Coach Belichick says you can't adhere to my rules, which is accept this one-year deal. You need to go. Coach Belichick put him out. Stop telling that story about Tom chose such and such. Coach Belichick did what my grandfather did to my aunt. You can't adhere to my rules? Get out. You don't want to accept this one-year deal? Get out. That's the way it's going to be. Now, you keep telling me 18 years Tom Brady has been a starter. He didn't start his rookie year 2000. He played, he came in, 5 games into the season in 2001, and the season that he tore his knee, so he only played 1 game. So 18 years, Tom Brady has been to 9 Super Bowls. He's been to, 12 AFC championship games. Now he doesn't get to that. Now he doesn't do that. He doesn't get to the Super Bowl. He hit the NFC championship game. I mean, so I guess all these other teams, they see Tom Brady, like, Tom's in our conference now. What are we going to do? No! Skip, you do realize beating Tom Brady enhanced what they are. You do realize that, right? Because I'm going to get my rep off you. That's how I'm going to build my resume. Beating Tom Brady. And I don't want to hear, when it's all said and done, I don't want to hear Tom was in year 21, 22, 23. When they beat him down, the same thing, Skip, you remember what happened to Joe Louis when he was still going out there and they were beating him down? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear nothing because you chose this. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be just fine. They're going to get a couple of pieces, maybe an offensive lineman. Who knows? But I believe in Aaron Rodgers and these other teams that I mentioned, the Seahawks and the Niners and the Saints, the Vikings, Eagles, they're not going anywhere. They're chomping at the bit to get their paws on fragile Tom Brady. Because at 43, Skip, I'm telling you, man, he better be drinking a lot of milk because the bones don't react like they used to.
Tom Brady played all 16 games last year. And just a week ago, we discussed the Ian Rappaport report on NFL.com and NFL Network that the Patriots were holding out hope that Tom Brady would re-sign with them all the way to the bitter end when he went to Robert Kraft's house on that Monday night to say, gee, thanks, but no thanks. And the Ian Rappaport report also said that once Tampa offered $25 million for 2 years guaranteed, $50 total million, that the Patriots were willing to match that. So once again, I believe you're trying to revise history because at least Robert Kraft was saying, no, Bill, we are going to keep Tommy for 2 more years. And I don't know what Bill wanted to do. You're probably right. He wanted him gone 3 years ago. But the point was Robert Kraft didn't want Tommy gone now. And Tommy went. Tommy went all the way south to Tampa. And I love the choice he made. I think you love the choice he made. I love the momentum he's already creating there. They are going to be a force and a factor in next year's playoffs.
Skip, they had 3 years to offer Tom Brady a contract extension. When you want someone, you offer them something to stay. You don't wait till the very last minute and do everything to push them out the door. They're doing everything to push him out the door. When he finally walks out the door, he's like, okay, Tom, this is what we do. No, it's gone. He's gone. But Skip, we pushed you out the door. That's why you left. Because if we wanted you, we'd have gave you the 3-year extension. No parent want to put their child out of the home, Skip. But if you're not willing to adhere to the rules, if you're not willing to play on 1-year deals, well, you got to go. It's as simple as that, Skip Bayless. It's as simple as that.
No mercy. Welcome back to Undisputed. According to TMZ, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott hosted a party of more than 30 people at his house a couple days ago. Well, Prescott is now strongly denying this report, saying he did have a dinner party, but there were fewer than 10 people in attendance. Skip, this is your guy, your QB. How bad does it look for Dak?
Jenny, the more I think about it, the worse it looks for Dak Prescott. This is a tough day for me here on Undisputed because this is the first time I've been hugely disappointed in Dak Prescott. I still love him as a player. I'm just not loving him right now as a leader. This seems so out of character for him because it feels like, it looks like, it smells like he got betrayed by one of his guests at this gathering, and then he got busted. And all I know is what I saw and read on TMZ. I saw the video sweep of the catered spread that was laid out for what looked like maybe 50 party guests, if we could see that. And it's, unless that's bogus video, which I'm going to doubt that it is or was, it looked like there were going to be more than 10 people there. And then even if we acknowledge what Dak said, that there was only going to be 10 people seated, or he said less than 10, for dinner, and we saw the still photo of the settings at the dinner table, the round table, it looked like there were about 10 place settings there in cowboy colors. Love that part. But even that was a little disturbing to me because elbow to elbow at dinner, it's just not where we're at right now, Dak. You know this, and I know this. You're the quarterback of America's team at a time America is under attack from this invisible killer, this virus that we have only one hope against, and that's to all do our little parts by staying home, staying away, staying strong, staying positive, but staying to ourselves. And you can't send the wrong message. I can't take it anymore. Sick and tired of this. You can't tell me to stay home. I'm Dak Prescott. I'm the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to have a bash at my house on Friday night to celebrate one of my buddies' birthdays. No, you can't do it right now because that message can cost more people jobs and more people their lives. So in the end, when Stephen Jones yesterday morning went on his Dallas radio show, his weekly gig, and said, and I quote, I don't think you'll be seeing that anymore. It sent a strong message that Stephen and Jerry, his father, had spoken to Dak and spoken to Zeke, who was present at the gathering, about you can't do this, not right now. This is life and death we're talking about. And then right on top of that, a couple of hours later, Dak Prescott does something out of character, unprecedented for him. He issues a statement flat out denying any of this by saying it's very frustrating and disappointing when people provide completely inaccurate information from anonymous sources. Dak, I'm sorry, it just looks like that's what happened. And we already had recent history that Dak participated in another still photo that got posted by Des Bryant on social media, I believe it was on Twitter, in which Dak and a couple other receivers and Des had their arms draped around each other after a workout. Love the camaraderie. I love that they're working out, but you just can't do it right now. You know it, and I know it, Dak. It just sends the wrong message. And I thought there was one key phrase in his statement, Shannon, that he issued last night. I am continuing to adjust to the new rules. Well, that indicates, okay, it kind of between the lines says, okay, maybe I didn't do it exactly right, but I'm going to be a little better next time. Just own it. If Dak had just apologized for saying, hey, I messed up on this one, we've all got to be in this together just a little longer, and we're going to win this battle against this virus. That's what I wanted to hear from the leader of America's team. And instead, I got him declaring, quote unquote, war again on Jerry and Stephen. And man, the bitterness and the rancor and the enmity between Dak and his camp and Jerry and Stephen is getting deeper and deeper and worse and worse. And I got to tell you, it indicates to me that it's very possible that Dak Prescott's not going to be a Dallas Cowboy that much longer.
Skip, for me, it's a bad look. First and foremost, because of who it is, who it involved. We're not talking about just some guy not a whole lot of people know about. We're talking about a starting quarterback in the National Football League. We're talking about the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Skip, I might have been willing to give Dak the benefit of the doubt. Had that picture not come out 5-6 days before, I might have been willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But since that picture had come out, Skip, is it a leap? Because it clearly that you're tone deaf. It clears that you're oblivious to whatever's going on in the United States. Now, forget that it's on basically every channel at some point in time. They're giving you an update of how many people that's become infected, how many people have died. So clearly, okay, you missed that point. But the mere fact that you had that photo and you just disregard that, what's the leap? Skip, I don't see the leap. It's not like we saying, we taking a huge straight, like, nah, there's no way Dak would do that. Clearly Dak has disregarded. He said, I'm learning. What do you got to learn? You're quarterback. So clearly a starting quarterback in the National Football League, have very good comprehension, have great retention. Because, Skip, all those plays, all those coverages, when guys are trying to tear your head off and you have to understand where your offense is going, where your players are going to end up at, what they're trying to do. So you have a great knowledge. You have a great understanding and comprehension of what's going on. Dak, you messed up. That's all. You trusted people that you shouldn't trust because you didn't take phones and someone got this out. Times are hard now. People are waiting on stimulus checks. Well, guess what? Somebody might have got a stimulus check and a check from TMZ because I guarantee you TMZ paid for this footage. Just like they, Skip, who got the footage of the Ray Rice Hotel incident, Skip? Who got that? When nobody else can get it, I don't know what happened, ain't nothing happened, yada, yada, yada. Lo and behold, it pops up on TMZ. Come on, Dak. Bro, you know better than this. In a situation like this, where I'm trying to get money, I am going to be on my absolute best behavior. Even if I'm just pretending, I will get that big payday before I act a fool. But this like I said, Skip, I can't give Dak the benefit of the doubt because I've seen him put himself and others in harm's way. What's to say that he wouldn't do it again? Well, I believe that he did. And Skip, I guarantee you, the Prosper PD told Stephen and Jerry Jones exactly what happened. Because if it was only 5 to 10 people, there was no reason for Stephen Jones to issue such a terse, this won't be happening again. Why would he do that, Skip? Because the code says 10 or below. If it was that, there was no need for Stephen to say what he said in the tone and the manner in which he said it. The Prosper PD told Stephen and Jerry what exactly transpired, and they relayed that to Dak, and Dak tried to save face, issued the warning, said it was about 10 people. Nobody believes that, Dak. I'm sorry. But, bro, you need to be smarter. You're the leader. And guys are going to, well, hell, if Dak doing it, why can't I? That's, Skip, sometimes leaders, you have to be able to sacrifice and step back. Maybe you don't go do something that the other guys do to show the leadership and the maturity that you have. So others in turn say, you know what? We're trying to win. Because, Skip, people think winning only takes place during the game. Winning is a seasonal thing. The off season, you try and win. In the training room, in the meeting room, on the practice field. That's where the winning takes place. Winning just doesn't take place when you play the game. That's the biggest mistake people make. Winning is a year-round thing, and a lot of times teams lose in the offseason because of bull jive.
And for those, Shannon, who don't know, Prosper is a fairly exclusive suburb. It's about 35 miles north of downtown Dallas, out fairly near where the Cowboy headquarters and practice facilities are in Frisco, Texas. So that's where Dak lives. And to your point, somebody on Dak's block was outraged enough, I'm assuming because they saw so many cars pulling up to Dak's place, either parking, being valeted or whatever, dropping people off. They saw so much activity that somebody was outraged enough to call the Prosper police to investigate what looked like a very big social gathering beyond the 10 people. So we even start with that fact. And then we end with the fact that, for me, this is no way to negotiate for a new deal. This is the kind of thing that, trust me, will give Jerry and Stephen a little bit of pause. Really? We're going to invest close to $40 million a year in Dak as our leader, and this is the second time he's appearing to defy the orders to stay at home and stay away. Not a good look.
It's not, Skip. And sometimes people look for reasons, look for excuses. Well, because you didn't want to do that anyway. People like, Skip, sometimes when you don't want to go to something, you was like, yeah, that's why I didn't go. You didn't want to go to begin with. That's why you didn't go. You want to make it seem like that was the reason you didn't go, but you didn't want to attend anyway. You see, Dak, they're very apprehensive, even after all you've accomplished, about giving you the money. Don't give them added incentive. Don't give them added reasons why not to give you this money.
No mercy.
Guys, Tim Tebow over the weekend brought up notable trades in sports history. He mentioned Babe Ruth to the Yankees. He mentioned Wayne Gretzky and the infamous trade from the Oilers to the LA Kings. But then he followed it up with this quote, saying, I got traded to the Jets. That didn't work out for anybody. When's the last time a Jets trade worked out? Shannon, strong words here from Tebow. Why is he taking shots at the Jets?
Bayless. Again, Shannon Sharpe is right. I keep telling you, Skip. See, Skip Bayless wants people to believe that some of his most cherished athletes do not have emotions and are not sensitive. And that didn't bother him. He did. Oh, yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did. I ain't got no problem with what I don't have a problem that him being upset that the trade didn't work out. I got a problem with him comparing himself to Babe Ruth and Wayne Gretzky. Tim Tebow, are you high? There is nothing. Babe Ruth comparison, Wayne Gretzky comparison. Skip, that should never. Skip, if you do not get on Tim Tebow for comparing himself to Babe Ruth and comparing himself to Wayne Gretzky, Skip Bayless, I'm going to be very ashamed of you. I'm going to be very ashamed. Skip, sometimes Tim Tebow, your goal was your goal in life when you're a little boy was to play quarterback in the NFL. Skip, a lot of people have goals, have aspirations. If you play, everybody's not going to have a 20-year career like Tom Brady, 21 years now, and 20-year career like Drew Brees. Skip, sometimes it might be a game. Sometimes it might be a year or two. Considering the average NFL career is 3 years and for a running back is 2.5, Skip, Tim Tebow spent 3-4 years in the NFL. Okay, maybe he didn't get the longevity, but he fulfilled a dream. He was a starting quarterback. He won the division. He won a playoff game. Bruh, it's been like 6 years removed. Let it go.
Okay, let's be clear about what exactly happened. He was not comparing his trade to all-time great trades or monumental trades. It was an afterthought because Tim Tebow got traded one time in his life. And trust me on this because I've tried to explain this to you before. That trade to the Jets sticks in his craw. He is human. And he is so human that in the middle of what was to be sort of Tim giving his testimony on Easter Sunday on IG Live, he had to digress for a second to get this off his chest because he got duped. He got misled in a phone call that he had from Rex Ryan, then coach of the Jets. And he has told me about this before, and I've tried to explain this to you, that obviously Tim Tebow did something the year before for the Broncos that was unprecedented. At 1-4, dead in the water, he was thrown into the fire by the new regime of John Elway and Coach John Fox just to get it over with and give the fans their little dose of Tebow, let him fail, let him swing and miss, let him throw a bunch of incompletions and off-target passes, and then go on to the next whatever the next frontier was for the Denver Broncos. And much to their chagrin, Elway and Fox, and much to their shock, Tim Tebow took that dead-in-the-water team to the division championship. He led the NFL that year with 5 game-winning drives, and he only started, obviously, the last 11 games. So almost half of the games he won with a fourth-quarter come-from-behind game-winning drive. And in the last 5 minutes of those games, he led the whole NFL in QBR. He wasn't a high-volume passer, obviously. It was 12 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions. Not bad. But what he did was he turned around the offense into the #1 rushing attack in pro football that year with Willis McGahee at the tailback and Tim running the read option, riding and deciding. And Tim himself had 660 yards rushing in those 11 starts. That was 5.5 yards a pop. And then just because we're bringing it up now, let's remember what he did against Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime as he threw for 316 yards, including the pass that you are seeing right here, right now, to Demaryius Thomas. Maybe the greatest overtime pass in playoff history, at least in my eyes it was, because it shocked me and knocked me off my couch in New York City that day. He did that to Demaryius to end the game against the vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers defense. He did that. He won the division title and won a playoff game. And then along came Peyton Manning. And I couldn't argue with that. Who can argue with Peyton knocking on the Broncos' door saying, can I play? Yeah, you can play.
Yep.
I was fine with that. So then it was up to John Elway. Okay, Tim's got value. Let's trade him where? And so that's when Rex Ryan called Tim Tebow and said, hey, I'm going to give you a 50-50 shot at winning the job from Mark Sanchez, Mr. Butt Fumble. He wasn't Butt Fumble yet, but he was still Mark Sanchez. And according to Tim, to me, that was not the truth. Tim never got any chance to start a game for the Jets, who next year went 6-10. Tim was a gadget guy who got to throw 8 passes that year and completed 6. But they were going 6-10 with Mark Sanchez starting 15 games and Greg McElroy the other game, the 16th game. And in that stretch of 15 starts, Mark Sanchez had a QBR overall of 27. Really? 27, and Tim Tebow didn't get a chance? Shannon, I've told you that someday, 50 years from now, football historians will look back at that one year, that blip in Denver, and say, what happened to Tim Tebow? That was great what he did, and he never got another shot to be a starting quarterback again in the league? That's just wrong. I've told you, it's the saddest on-field story in NFL history. I'm talking about on the field, that Tim Tebow was never even given another chance to start a game in the NFL. He deserved a chance for the woeful Jets the next year, and he got railroaded into thinking he would get it, and he didn't. So, yeah, he's human, and even on Easter Sunday, he couldn't help himself blurting out, that didn't work out, did it? No, it didn't work out because Tim Tebow got taken for a ride.
And guess what happened, Skip? So he mentioned the Jets trade. Did he not go to the Eagles? Did he not go to the Patriots? Why not mention that? When was the last time somebody went to the Patriots and it didn't work out? Oh, it did. When was the last time a quarterback went to the Eagles and it worked out? Oh, it did. Oh, Michael Vick went to the Eagles, went to the Pro Bowl, almost won an MVP. Nick Foles went back to the Eagles, won the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. But he didn't mention that. You see, Skip Bayless, look, I'm going to give you some facts now. There were times in practice, Tim Tebow was so bad that John Fox told the defense, do not try to intercept the ball, do not knock down the ball. And see, what happened, Skip, is that he took that kind of practice habit to the Jets. The Jets saw him practice and said, there's no way we can put him into the game. Now, I will give you this, Skip. From the way he practiced and the way he played, it was like night and day. You would have never thought, seeing that guy throw the ball in practice, that he was actually throwing the ball as well as he was throwing it in the game. But, Skip, the Jets weren't married to him like the Broncos. They had to give, Skip, that was a first-round pick. So they had to try to make it work. But it wasn't going to work. Tim got 2 other opportunities to show what he could do. I remember going on your old show and telling you that he wasn't going to make the Eagles because Chip Kelly had said, we're going to go out and find us a guy even though Tim Tebow was on the roster. So that told me he wasn't going to make it, and plus the fact he wasn't playing well. Then goes to New England, to the offensive coordinator that drafted him, Josh McDaniels, and he couldn't even be the backup. So stop this notion that Tim Tebow was wrong somehow. Tim Tebow got everything out of his ability, although it was one good year. Skip, we've seen a lot of great success stories that only last 1 year. That was Tim Tebow. It's time to move on. That baseball dream isn't going to happen, so now it's time to just move on with your life. He's married. I'm sure kids are coming down the pipeline soon. Ta-da, it's over.
Shannon Sharpe, I told you that Tim Tebow was always a terrible practice player at the University of Florida. What did I say in the award-winning All He Does Is Win video that won the Webby Award that's sitting right behind me somewhere? You can't see it, but it's right here on the shelf behind me.
Take it down.
What were the first lines of that video? Yeah, I'll take it down. All He Does Is Win starts out, he's a gamer, he's a baller, he's a shot caller. That's exactly what he was. When the lights went on, when it was time, or when it was Sunday afternoon on national TV, that's when Tim Tebow rose and he shone. So the point was, when he didn't get a shot with the Jets, Bill Belichick loves Tim Tebow, so he brought him to camp the next year. And trust me, I watched every minute of every preseason game. Tebow was really good. And in the final preseason game, the 4th one in Foxborough, he led a game-winning drive that won the 4th preseason game. But there was no way they were going to keep him. I think, if memory serves, the backup was Ryan Mallett, I think, at that point for the Patriots. I could be wrong about that. But they're a drop-back passing team, and they're not going to have a backup quarterback, and they're only going to keep 2, who is a read option quarterback. You're just not going to do it behind Tom Brady, the GOAT of drop-back passer. You're just not going to do it. You can't suddenly, in midstream, change your offense. If Tom happened to, knock on wood, get hurt in the second quarter, you can't say, Tim, go in and run the read option. You don't even practice. It's not even in your repertoire. They did it as a favor to Tim to showcase him.
That's what the Broncos did. They had Kyle Lorton, who was a drop-back passer. They installed the read option. You wanted the Jets to do that. Mark Sanchez was a drop-back passer. You wanted them to install the zone read and the read option for Tim Tebow. Why not the Patriots?
Kyle Orton wasn't Tom Brady. Mark Sanchez obviously wasn't Tom Brady. The Denver Broncos were just done at 1-4. They had nowhere else to go. Okay, let's try to change it on the fly and salvage the rest of the year with Tim Tebow. Let's let him do what he does. What did I say before he got drafted? Hey, he'll never make a Pro Bowl, but if you'll take him late in the first round, and he went 25th to the Broncos, to Josh McDaniels, who's running the show at that point in Denver. And I said, if you'll let him run Urban Meyer's college offense, he will win games in the NFL. And that's exactly what he started doing. And that's what he would have done for the Jets if they had handed him the job in training camp over the loser that was Mark Sanchez. And I like Mark.
No, we ain't hand you no job.
He's a fine guy, but he was a loser as a quarterback. You know it, and I know it.
No, we don't have no job. Okay. And then he went to Philly, where they actually, Chip Kelly was one of the forethinkers of the zone read. Why didn't he survive there? Now, Skip, if you don't, hold on. Lamar Jackson, zone read, yada, yada, yada. Joe Flacco, drop back passer. Oh, they could do it. They got a guy in Lamar Jackson that's the total opposite of Joe Flacco. And look what they did. So if you're that guy, shouldn't they be able to make concessions for you? Shouldn't Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick says, I cater the offense. We do what the quarterback does really well. So we did what Tom did well. We'll do what Stead does well. So if Tim Tebow is the direct opposite, you just install plays and run an offense that Tim Tebow that can be conducive in. Oh, I guess that wasn't the case. Hi, Jenny.
Yeah.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah, Shannon, you know and I know that you can't begin to explain Tim Tebow for those 11 or 12 games in Denver, if I count the playoff game, because it was extraordinary what he pulled off. And you know and I know the Jets flat out lied to him because he never got a chance to start one game for the Jets. It's as simple as that.
Well, how about this here? How about you ask Tim Tebow what the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jags, ask him what they promised him and why he turned them down to go to New York. And then we're going to come back and have this discussion. Just ask him about that because the Jags have a better offer on the table.
No mercy. All right, in a recent interview, former All-Star point guard Stephon Marbury weighed in on the NBA GOAT debate. Marbury said there shouldn't even be a conversation because when it comes to Michael Jordan, there is, quote, just no comparison, man. It's just different worlds. So, Skip, I start with you. Is this exaggeration or truth-telling?
Thank you, Stephon Marbury, for telling the flat-out, all-time, game-over truth. Shannon, I've been trying to explain this to you for 4 long, hard years here on Undisputed. I'm going to quote Stephon. He concluded, Jordan is not from Earth. He's not from Earth. Stephon's point was, LeBron's really great. He says, don't get me wrong. Great player. Unbelievable. Amazing. But better than Jordan? It's not even the same, said Stephon Marbury. It's not. He went on to say, if you want to debate Kobe and Jordan, that's fine. Stephon says Kobe's better than Kobe and LeBron. But he said Kobe's better than LeBron. Yes, Kobe is better than LeBron in my estimation. But you can't even include Michael in this conversation. He's in a world unto himself. I was there in Chicago in 1998. Night after night, I would watch him play and I would sit back and say, I've never seen that before. I'd never seen such basketball athleticism, such killer will, such all-time rare mental toughness and clutchness as we saw night after night in Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And Stephon experienced up close and personal that Jordan when Stephon was in his first and second year. He played against the Chicago Jordan 4 games. And again, Stephon was a T-Wolf at that point. And Jordan averaged 32 a game in those 4 games. And Stephon, as a young player, averaged 13. And he said he was in awe even to be on the same floor with them. Stephon played Cavaliers 12 times when LeBron was a Cavalier. And he played the Lakers 28 times when Kobe was a Laker. So he saw all of them up close and personal. And yet, Shannon, you like analogies. Let me sum it up with this one. You know that I love to read and I love to write. So if you ask me, who's the all-time greatest writer? Well, it's not even close. It's William Shakespeare. He's like in another world from everybody I've ever read. So if down here on this level, if you want to ask me, who's better? Hemingway, Sun Also Rises, or Faulkner with Light in August, or F. Scott Fitzgerald with Gatsby. I don't know. That's a close call for me. I think I'll go barely Gatsby on that. But when you're talking about Shakespeare, he's in another world. He's not from Earth, William Shakespeare. I don't know how he did what he did because no human's ever been able to approximate what Shakespeare just kept doing play after play. You read it and you say, that's inhuman. And that's how I felt about Jordan. And that's how Stephon feels about Jordan. And he summed it up by saying, man, the kids are everybody's stuck at home right now. They're going to watch this Jordan documentary next Sunday night on ESPN, The Last Dance. And they're going to say, damn, this is crazy. And their eyes are going to be opened and they're going to say, gee, yeah, he is. He's better than LeBron James. So I'm sorry, Shannon. Game over.
That is a great analogy. But did any of those Faulkner and any of those other guys, Hemingway or Orwell, F. Scott Fitzgerald, did they try to write like Shakespeare, or they chose their own path? Because see, what you do, Kobe, Stephon Marbury's game was probably more, it's kind of like more acrobatish, a lot of spin, a lot of dipsy-do, and that's not LeBron's game. It would have been very interesting to see in those 12 games in which he played the Cavaliers, what did LeBron average against Stephon Marbury? But I'll look that up and I'll get back to the people tomorrow because I'm sure they're dying to know, since you were so eloquently to point out that Jordan averaged 33 in those 4 games, but you didn't put out what LeBron averaged in those 12 games. But I'll make sure I have that for the people tomorrow because I am a man of the people. Skip, this is such an exaggeration. And Skip, look, Michael is 6-0, but we know in 3 of those finals, in 2015, LeBron James against the Warriors, he has 3 losses against the Warriors in the finals. He averaged 36, 13, and 9 and lost in 6 games. In 2017, he averaged a triple-double, 33, 12, and 10. And he followed that up in 2018 with 34, 8.5, and 10. Skip, I don't really know what else he can do. And I know you always like to go back to Game 6 and say, Ray Allen saved his legacy. But you never mentioned at the start of the 4th quarter, they were down 10 points. LeBron scored 16. He assisted on 2 threes, which made 22 of the 30 that they scored LeBron. LeBron almost outscored the Spurs by himself. You never mentioned that. More game-winning playoff shots, who's made more? LeBron James. Who's been more clutch? LeBron James. Skip, the aura around LeBron, like Stephon said, he was in awe to be on court, Skip, because I said it, I'm telling you now, having been around him, and it feels the same way as when I met the man for the very first time. It felt like he was levitating. It was like this man is the closest thing. Skip, I know pastors and you got all these, but he's the closest thing that I've seen to God himself, because he's levitating. He doesn't even seem real. I feel that way the same way when I see him in person now, Skip. He does not seem real. It's hard to get past that. And the jump man, the shoes, Skip, I get it. But ain't nothing changing my mind. I'm going to watch every second of this documentary. Every second. But I'm anxious to see the behind the scenes. Not that, Skip, I know the courts. I know how acrobatic. I remember the game-winning shot against the Cavaliers, all that. The 63 against the Celtics in double overtime, the double Knicks. Skip, I remember all those games, all the playoffs. Yes, I remember. But I want to see behind the scenes, and I love to hear when people talk about other people. When you hear Quincy Jones talk about Sam Cooke or Miles Davis, or you hear some of the greats talk about other greats. Skip, that's what I like to hear.
Okay, Shannon, you neglect to point out that in LeBron's last playoff series against Boston, when he was a Cavalier the first time around, he melted down, did LeBron, in games 4, 5, and 6. And when he went to Miami and went to his first finals with the Heat against Dallas, he all-time melted down in games 4, 5, and 6. Chosen one became frozen one. And then in the aforementioned Game 6 of 2013 finals, in the last 3 minutes, LeBron had 3 unforced error turnovers that even shocked me, and 2 of those came in the last 30 seconds of the game. He turned it over twice. He missed, or I should say, LeBricked, the tying attempt at a 3 that was a long rebound to Chris Bosh, kicked in the corner to Ray Allen for the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen to tie the game and send it to overtime. So that's all I really care about, is what happened down the stretch of Game 6. And I don't even need to mention that the next year in 2014, LeBron's Heat got blown off the floor by the Spurs by a record finals margin. I'm sorry, LeBron has had so many epic fails on his resume that Jordan wouldn't have even thought about having, that it was game over at that point, but you still cling to these big numbers, these 33s and, 8s and 8s. I don't know. He's 3-6 in the finals. That's all I know.
Do you know Michael Jordan couldn't get out of the first round until Scottie Pippen joined? Now, Harry, you keep talking about how he melted down in 2009 against the Celtics. Do you realize the Celtics put the big three Celtics together to beat him after he broke up the bad boy Pistons too? They put that team together. So what did he do? He went down, got with D-Wade and Chris Bosh, and broke up the big three Celtics. Guess what they did? They moved down the turnpike or up the turnpike to Jersey. And guess what he did again? He broke them up in Jersey. You remember, Skip, Paul Pierce and who was it? Paul Pierce and I think Jason Terry, might wasn't Jason Terry at the time, but Kevin Garnett. They went to Brooklyn, teamed up with Darren Williams, teamed up with Joe Johnson, and he broke them up, put them in purgatory hell. No, excuse me, not purgatory. Put them in hell for like 7-8 years. Because of what they gave up to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. He broke it up. The Warriors, they got on a plane, a G6, 50,000 an hour, flew to the Hamptons, interrupted that man Kevin Garnett vacationing to beg him to join the team. Why? Because of Go James. That's the kind of effect that he has on people. You put teams together to beat him. And then when he beats you, he makes you go get reinforcements. That's what he does. He's the United States military. Everybody keeps trying to steal our secrets and how we got all this firepower. But we got something that you can't replicate. Go James, the greatest basketball player in history. No more discussions, Jenny.
No mercy. Tom Brady's Bucs jersey has quickly become the latest top-selling NFL jersey. But you know what is surprising? That 5 of the 6 states in New England are leading the way in jersey sales. So, Shannon, how do you explain this?
Well, I mean, Tom Brady spent 20 years, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Maine. That's New England states. And so I'm not surprised, Skip, when someone spends that amount of time there. And I've talked to some people, and it's like, I'm buying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was like, but you're a Patriots fan. They're like, yeah, I'm a Patriots fan, but I love Tom Brady as much as I love the Patriots. Now, what's shocking to me, Skip, I'm not surprised at Michigan. Obviously, Tom Brady played at the University of Michigan. I'm not surprised at Florida. Obviously, he's in Florida now. Skip, but when I look at Wisconsin, South Carolina, Colorado, what the hell they know about? What the hell they got going on down there that we don't know about? So I'm surprised. I'm shocked with Wisconsin because you know who's in Wisconsin. Wisconsinites, what the hell is going on in Wisconsin? Aaron Rodgers, you should be mad about this. And South Carolina and Colorado, Skip, I don't get that. But all the other states, Skip, I don't have a problem with it. Tom Brady played 20 years in the New England area. So them buying his jerseys, it's almost like he's family, Skip. They grew up watching Tom Brady. So I'm not surprised.
I am shocked, pleasantly shocked by this. And once again, Shannon, you're not giving credit where credit is due. What always happens when a star decides to leave a team and a city and an area? The fans feel betrayed, they feel jilted, they feel spurned. What happened when LeBron left Cleveland to take his talents to South Beach? They burned his jersey. Some people burned his jersey, not everybody, but some did. Mm-hmm. What happened when Kevin Durant chose to take his talents to the team that they had down 3-1 in the playoffs, in the conference finals? He goes to Golden State, and understandably, a lot of Oklahoma City fans have still not gotten over that Kevin betrayed them and went to the Warriors. And I get that. Mm-hmm. But what has happened here, and I'm going to use a word that we've been using all show today, it's unprecedented. It's another astounding achievement on the part of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., the GOAT. he is so loved, so beloved in New England that they're saying, we're still with you, Tommy. They're buying his jersey at a greater pace than even Florida is buying his jersey in 5 of the 6 New England states. So these spurned lovers are loving him even more. That's never happened before in the history of sports. And I think they're screaming, we choose Tommy over Bill. We think that Bill did Tommy wrong, and we're going to love Tommy. We're going to be Bucs fans as well as Patriot fans because we're going to adopt the Bucs because he chose the Bucs. Again, he wasn't traded to Tampa. It was his choice, Tom Brady's choice to leave. He chose to go to Tampa. And yet the core of New England states in Patriot Nation say, hey, we're still going to buy your Bucs jersey. You got to give him credit for that, Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah, Skip. I think the thing is that when you look at it, I'm going to see just how loyal these Patriots fans are because, Skip, you've covered the NFL and I played in New England when there was 35,000 fans and the seats were empty. They want people to believe that they've always won and this loyal fan base has always been loyal when you and I both know they became loyal in 2001 once they started winning and ultimately they had the greatest string of success in 2 decades than anybody in the in NFL history. But, Skip, once you buy it, it's hard for me to believe that people that bought Peyton's jersey in Indy didn't buy his Bronco jersey when he went to Denver. Skip, once you got 15, 20, you might as well say, well, I got every jersey that Tom Brady ever played in. Be it 10, be it 15, be it 30. Skip, you know that's how people are. I guarantee you, some people got every jersey Kobe ever played in, every jersey LeBron ever played in, be it Cavs, be it the Lakers, be it Miami, his McDonald's All-American jersey. That's just the way it is, Skip. I'm not surprised when a guy's had this kind of success. They burned LeBron's jersey, some people did, because they felt it was promised unfulfilled. KD was the same thing. They didn't burn his jersey this time when he went to L.A. because he had given them championships. What more could Tom have given them? Sure, I'm sure everybody would have loved Tom to stay another year or 2. But he did give you 6 when you had none before. Basically, New England was the Red Sox, was the Bruins. Tom Brady got people in New England thinking football because that's all it was prior to Tom Brady, Skip Bayless. Yes, they went to the Super Bowl, got ramshackled by the Bears in 85. Yes, they went again in 96, and Brett Favre beat the brakes off of them. But once they started, it was, okay, not just Red Sox, not just Bruins. Tommy Brady made it a football town. We're going to see if it's still a football town.
We are. So back to Peyton Manning. I'm sorry. I don't believe that a whole bunch of Indy fans suddenly bought Bronco jerseys and rooted for Peyton because, remember, they had Andrew Luck right on schedule with the first pick in the draft, right? So they all became like onward and upward with Andrew Luck. And Peyton obviously got pushed out the back door by Jim Irsay, but then he goes and chooses Denver. He could have chosen any place, but I never got the sense they didn't hate him for it because he didn't jilt them. He didn't leave them. He got forced out. But again, it was different because it was onward and upward with Andrew Luck. And I know some Indy fans that I worked with at ESPN, and they were all in on Andrew Luck, and they're all not in on Andrew Luck right now. So my point is, this was unprecedented because for that many people, remember, they're buying jerseys at a higher rate than the state of Florida, which is a much bigger state, obviously, than any of those little New England states. Maine's big, but again, Vermont's not one, but it's New Hampshire and Rhode Island are obviously very small states. So they're out buying the huge state of Florida. And again, there's another pro team there, obviously, in Miami, but still for Tampa jerseys. So I think this has never happened before. This kind of, in Jacksonville, but this has never happened where a player chooses to leave and they say, we're still on board with you. We're going to root for the Buccaneers. And all of a sudden, it's starting to feel like the Bucs are threatening to become America's team over my Cowboys. That's what it feels like to me. Because you start seeing this sweep of jersey buying all the way into Wisconsin.
Well, all I know is Fox is very happy because they got Tom Brady, they got the Cowboys, they got the preeminent story. They got the story this year, Skip. You say sports is about stories? Well, they got the best story that we've had in a very, very long time. And so if there is football being played, and I just read what Dr. Fauci said, sports might be played this summer, but it's going to be played without fans, and the players are going to have to be secluded in the hotels. So we're probably going to get football in the fall. I don't know with or without fans, but for me, Skip, I don't watch the game for the fans. I don't know who is at home like, man, let me see who's in the stand. Let me see who's cheering. Let me see who's booing. I'm watching for the action on the court. If they're on the court, if they're on the field, I'm watching. I ain't looking at those stands. But, Skip, I'm telling you this, but give me 2 years. Old Steady gonna have the #1 selling jersey in football. Old Steady. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Want to bet 100 cases of Diet Dew on that one?
No, I don't want to bet no Dew. I don't want to bet nothing. But Old Steady coming. Watch, I don't know, what's his number, 4? You're going to see a bunch of them Old Steady jerseys up in New England this year. Bunch of them.
You don't even know his number, and he's not Stiddy. Coach Belichick has been calling him Stid. Come on, Shannon, we're not changing nicknames at this point. All right,
but
coming up next for us. What?
The McCourty twins call him Steady. Don't they, Skip? They call him Steady.
No mercy.
Welcome back to Undisputed. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is reportedly pushing his team to draft his college teammate CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. The Cardinals have the 8th pick in the draft, and CeeDee is projected to be available in most mocks. So, Shannon, is this a good idea or a bad idea to reunite these former teammates?
It'd be a horrible idea. And I understand the quarterback likes all the shiny toys, Skip. But you remember when Ryan Grigson was the GM at the Indianapolis Colts, and he got all these shiny toys for Andrew Luck. He had T.Y. Hilton and Andre Johnson. They brought in all these receivers, but they didn't have anybody to protect him. And Andrew Luck is retired now. That's exactly what's going to happen with Kyler Murray. Kyler, you understand the fastest cars in the world are the most protected. Funny car, top fuel, stock cars. You better get some protection. I know you want receivers, and so you can throw the ball all over the yard, but you can't complete a pass on your back. You better get some protection. They better go get you an offensive lineman to shore up that offensive line.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I've told you CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in this draft, even better than Jerry Jeudy or the Alabama receivers, because he's so elusive and so strong after the catch. Kyler knows this. Kyler would love to have him, even though they've gone out now and gotten him a DeAndre Hopkins, who honestly is comparable to CeeDee. They played the same way. But yet, Kyler knows how great CeeDee could be. But I am with you ultimately. Even though you could make the case, let's strengthen our strength. There are going to be 3 tackles sitting there who, by all accounts, are going to be perennial Pro Bowl tackles. And with the 8th overall, now that you got DeAndre Hopkins, you probably should be wise and get the tackle, especially the right tackle that they need right now to protect little Kyler. He's a tough little man, and I think he's going to make a leap in this second year, but he does need the right tackle.
That's what you need, Skip. You got to get him some protection. I understand the toys. Skip, you're a quarterback. You want receivers. You want tight ends. You want to throw the ball all over the yard. But you better get some protection for when you do drop back and throw the ball. They better take a tackle. They better take an offensive lineman in this spot.
All right. That is all the time we have today for Undisputed. Good stuff today, guys.
No mercy.